Our CEO and founder, Stefan Löfven, sat down with the ticketing manager of FC Midtjylland, Martin Jacobsen, to discuss FC Midtjylland's decision to introduce a subscription model in their ticketing sales strategy. In this episode, they discuss the thinking behind this and why such a model helps them increase their matchday attendance. Enjoy the episode.
FC Midtjylland is the story of how will and unity can create the impossible. It is the story of what can happen when the dreams are big and the will is even bigger. It is the story of a club that from the start had the courage to think innovatively and step out of the shadows. So I took this quote directly from the FC Midtjylland website, Martin. Huge welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So just before we begin, let's start off the session with a little icebreaker.
Yeah, sure.
So what's your favorite quote, expression, or motto, and why is it your favorite?
I'm not a big of quote, but I think it'll probably be something like if you can't prove it, I don't believe it, something like that. It comes out of this, I'll say, this football world is not necessarily very innovative, and sometimes you can sit in meetings and a CEO or a boss or whatever can come up with a great idea in his head. It's not perhaps that great of an idea, and I need it proven before I think it's a good idea. So that's probably one of my go-tos if I had to choose one.
It's a good motto or a quote, actually. I think. I mean, it's good. It means that you can test new ideas, but you also need to see that they actually work, right? You need proof of them.
Definitely. We only have 20 match days, so every year, so we don't have that many test days. So I don't want to waste anyone. So yeah, I need them to be quite spot on from day one, really.
Exactly. Sounds good. All right. So I'm just gonna dive right in, Martin. So FC Midtjylland, you took the step of selling subscriptions in addition to the season tickets. So if we start off with, how did that idea come about?
Well, we were presented to the idea from our seating system supplier, RoboTicket and UC, who had the possibility in their ticketing system. And then we could see from other clubs under their umbrella that they had a fair bit of success with it. And we could see an awful lot of potential in it. There's a reason why Netflix and Spotify and whatever use this subscription thing. It's probably because it works. But at the moment that we were presented to it a few years ago, we didn't have the right idea or concept kind of to put it into. But yeah, over the last year, we developed it because we really could see a lot of potential in both, getting a lot of workload of us internally and helping the season ticket holder. And obviously, there's a financial side of it that's beneficial for us.
Still, it's relatively unheard of in the sports industry. It's not that many that sort of use this concept. So maybe you could just explain a little bit of how it works.
Well, it is. It's basically quite simple. Instead of coming to the ticket office every summer to renew your season ticket, it just happens automatically. You can pay. In our case, you can pay once a year or once a month. You kind of decide whatever you want. We can see that the younger generation prefers the monthly payment, and the older generation prefers the yearly payment. But it is, and as you know, internally for us as well, the workload that we don't need to do after every season and before every season, it just happens automatically. You just need to pay once, and then we get the money every month, every year for you. You don't have to think about a renewable season or a date that you need to have renewed your season ticket, or your seat disappears and gets sold to someone else. All that disappears for you. It just had to happen automatically for you, which is a real quality in this, I think.
So a question there. So the ticketing system was also prepared for that, since it was the idea actually from your ticketing vendor from the beginning, I guess.
That was one of the ideas for it, because the way that new CEO RoboTicket, the ticketing system is developed, it's very flexible to put into whatever context that the club wants it to be. But yeah, that was definitely one of the advantages in the ticketing system that we have, is exactly this.
One of the things that you actually mentioned during one of the initial chats that we have was that some people that buy tickets or season tickets don't necessarily show up in the games. So how have you used the data and the subscription model to change that tendency?
Yeah, that's kind of the big project at this football club at the moment. Back in 2020, the board in FC Midtjylland put down a vision for 2025 that we needed, and it was into different areas of the clubs, both sporting-wise and commercially. And one of the pillars that was important in the vision 2025 was that we needed 10,000 spectators for every match by 2025. And for a big club, with a big stadium, that's not necessarily a big task. It's just about selling an awful lot of tickets. But we have a 11,500 seater stadium here. 1,000 of those seats are an away section, which basically I can't really sell those tickets. It depends on who we're playing. So I need to fill 10,000 people in 10,500 seats, which is a bit more difficult than it probably would sound. Just take last season, for example. We had an overall attendance for every ticket or season ticket, VIP tickets, family ticket, whatever kind of ticket it was. It was in general, it was 70%, 72%, I think it was. So if I sold 10,000 tickets, only an average, just above 7,000 of them showed up. So we needed to look into this data to see who used their access to the stadium or to the match and who didn't. And we could quite early on the process see that if you had a ticket for a match, then you would show up around 90% of the time. And if you had a season ticket or access to every match, it was around 65%. So, we could quite easily make the calculation that on average, 1,000 season ticket holders would not show up for our matches. And when I only had 10,500 seats to sell and 1,000 of them didn't show up, I only had 9,500 seats to sell. So we quite early on knew that it was impossible for us to reach the vision 2025. So we really needed to rethink the season ticket for this to be achieved. And this is where the subscription model came in, because we've put an attendance demand on the season ticket. So you need to be here for 65% of all of our home matches if you want to renew the season ticket. So if you are above the 65%, you can renew it. The same seats, all access to every match, just as you used to. If you're under 65%, you will be transferred over to a new concept, which is a subscription concept, which is called Ticket Flex. It's a flexible ticketing solution. So you have access to every seat on sale, and you can sit wherever you want to sit. Because we could see that if you have above 65% on season ticket attendance, you on average came 88% of the matches. Mm-hmm. And the under 65% was I think it was 32%. So we needed to cut those off on the bottom. And this is where the Ticket Flex solution came in, because that gives you a ticket for each match. You need to actively go into the ticketing system and get your tickets. And it doesn't really bother with those who comes for every match. So we don't really need to annoy, don't get me wrong, but with the people who attend every match, we're very, very happy with them. It's just the ones who don't attend every match, so we need to work with.
The way that you're sort of explaining it also means that you've actually made the season ticket even more valuable, right? Because you have to be if you have a season ticket, then you're a real supporter, because then you attend at least 65% of the matches, right?
Definitely, yeah. And as a new fan, you can't buy a new season ticket. So if you came in, you just moved to the city and you wanted a season ticket, you won't be able to buy it. You would only be able to buy the Ticket Flex solution, which you needed to be 65% for every match for the next season, and then you'd be able to get your season tickets.
That's a really smart move. But if I just could understand a little bit more about the subscription part, the Ticket Flex. So let's say that you're subscribing to this, right? And you're paying a monthly fee. So you get access to basically every seat. But if you don't use that right, you can still sell that seat to someone else.
Yeah, that's correct. Because the old-fashioned way, if you have a season ticket and you don't show up, the seat is just, there aren't anyone sitting in it. But now you need your seat you need to actively go into the ticketing to get your seat for that match. So if you don't do that, you just don't get a ticket for the match. We have a 48-hour pre-ticket sale for our ticket flexer. So they are guaranteed a seat for the match if they want one. And then obviously after the pre-sale, they still have access to every seat on sale. But then, the general sale is open. So until sold out, they still have access to every seat. But yeah, there is a pre-sale for them.
Okay. Have you seen any issues with the fan experience? I mean, if you're subscribing to what you feel is the season ticket, and then all of a sudden you see, well, wait, the seat that I now wanted was gone, but it's because the 48-hour limit has passed. Have you seen any issues with the fan experience in that sense, or has everyone accepted this?
That is actually one of the positives we have taken from this, because as a season ticket holder, you're used to having your own seat, but as a ticket flexor, as a new ticket flexor, you're not used to having your own seat. You don't have the same feeling or history, whatever you want to call it, with that seat. So that part of it hasn't really been issued. It's clear that when the season is over and we're doing kind of the calculation that you've not been here for 65%, you'll be moved over for the ticket flex solution. Then that might be an issue.
No, that's true. Is there an idea or a plan to actually push for season tickets from Ticket Flex, seeing the ones that have a high attendance or a tendency to go to a lot of games, that you will push them to become season ticket holders, or what's the idea there?
Definitely. After every season that we'll do the calculations. And if you have over 65% attendance, we will offer you the chance of a season ticket. So we don't need to go into the ticketing system and get your ticket very much. But it's only if you have over 65%, then we'll offer you the chance to buy a season ticket as you know it.
Given that this is, if I understand correctly, this is the first season that you're doing this more full scale, right? So have you had the opposite, where you have denied someone to buy the season tickets because the attendance has been too low? And how was the reaction?
I think it's been both ways, if you can say. When you don't have had a season ticket here before, and we tell you can't buy a season ticket, they say, oh, well, that's weird. But then we explain it to them why, because we want to sell out every single match. Then they understand why we're doing it. But obviously, there is a bit of a communication task in this, which is can be quite difficult. But we are quite an innovative football club. So when we are, and we're branded as that as well. So when we tell people that there's reasoning behind this, it is just not to be annoying. There's a reason behind it. Then people accepts it and takes it into consideration that this is actually a decent idea. But yeah, obviously there has been someone who didn't really understand it. But well, I guess that's understandable and expected.
Of course. When you try something new, not everyone appreciates that, of course, but you still have to try things.
Exactly. Yeah.
What would you say are the major benefits of using this subscription model?
Well, there are the things that I've already mentioned. The workload that's taken away from us after every season, or before every season, how you want to put it, is major. We don't need thousands of people renewing anymore. It just had to happen automatically. And then, we can see the financial possibilities in this. And, let's not kid ourselves. This is also a financial solution part of the way. And we can see that going into this. But I think the major issue is because it's flexible for us. We can decide if you're under 65 or over 65%, we can then transfer you to the product that you need, which is the major issue. If it wasn't possible for us doing the subscription model, because all of your payment and all your data is already in the system. So we just need to move you to the right, to your right product, which does it quite easy for us to manage this.
All right. So if we take the opposite side to this, then do you see any drawbacks from working like this?
There's not too many drawbacks to be honest with you, which is lovely. I think one of the drawbacks is obviously there can be in periods there can be a lot of handling in this, but it's quite easy to get out of. So let's give me an example. We have a lot of people with a yearly subscription, and they're obviously paid usually in the summer. And during that year, let's say 25-30% of their credit cards is expired during that year. So there's obviously a lot of handling with them getting a new credit card information into the system and all that. But if I need to take one drawback from it, is probably that. But if you take the drawback from the old-fashioned season ticket selling or resale or whatever you call it, then it's not really a drawback to the alternative, which is that all our season ticket holders needs to renew. I can say there aren't really that many drawbacks with this. Not yet anyway.
Exactly. No, that sounds really good. It sounds really good, and it is. I mean, it is a very innovative idea. So that sounds good. So maybe we'll need to come back and see if you found any drawbacks later on. If we twist like how we look at this, and we look at it from the supporters' point of view, how have they responded to this? We were talking about this a little bit, but maybe we can go a little bit deeper. Do you see any like a special response from the supporters when it comes to this new solution? Do you see any differences, like when it comes to different age groups or like any other like segments that you see that they have responded in a different way?
I think, as I said before, the footballing world is quite conservative, I think, over a broad term, and when we introduced that it was only possible to get your season ticket or your ticket flex on a subscription model, it wasn't able to do the old-fashioned way. There was a bit of a hesitation. I think there's always going to be some hesitation with, introducing something new to people. But it hasn't really been an issue. I think people can see the idea. And I think in Denmark, more or less every person here has a Netflix or Spotify or fitness or whatever subscription. So they're used to the subscription model. They just needed to understand the context of a season ticket in a subscription model. But obviously, it has been a lot easier for us to sell it to the younger generation than to the older ones, simply because they're probably a bit more IT used. They use. You probably have an iPhone as a 7-year-old who in Denmark, so you're quite IT educated here. And we can see that the monthly subscriptions there are a higher younger percentage in the monthly, and again it's an older segment that will do the yearly subscription. Whether that's because that's what they've always done, or whether it's because they just have more money in the bank, I can't really see that yet. But that's probably one of the factors in it.
And I guess one of the things why the response maybe has been so good is that one of the main reasons you're doing this is to keep the attendance up. I mean, nobody, even if you sell like you sell a lot of season tickets and nobody shows up to the games, well, that's not good for anyone. It's not good for the audience that's there. It's not good for the players. It's not good for the sponsors. So there's a lot of things involved around that. So I mean, the idea is actually the foundation for the ideas is pretty good.
It is a positive circle to get into. We want to sell out. We want to be able to sell out every single seat for every single match. But it's not selling it that's an issue for us. It's people to attend it. And when we've told people, we had a season ticket meeting after last season where we introduced all this to people, and there were people applauding this because they really believe that if we can get 1,000 more season tickets or just fans into those seats that's generally not seated because of people staying away. People loved that idea to get 1,000 more people in, and more fans generates more fans and higher sponsorship deals and higher TV deals, and it's a positive thing to get into this. But it is a small piece in a bigger picture.
Of course. What would be needed to like if you want to implement such a model? What do you need to do to make it successful?
you need a ticketing system that obviously have the capabilities. In our case, it's a ticketing system, it's a subscription system, and it's a paying gateway. All of that needs to be combined absolutely perfectly. There can't be any flaws in that. If there's just a little flaw in it, people don't believe in the system. And obviously, if there's an issue with the system, then there'll probably be an issue for everyone, and then the workload is absolutely massive. So you need really a well-proven machine for this to work. This is my clear view on this. And obviously, we are quite IT educated or developed, or whatever you want to say, here in Denmark. As I said, you probably have an iPhone as a 7-year-old, and you have an iPhone as a 70-year-old. So everyone here is more or less have an idea of how a computer works, or an iPhone or Samsung, whatever it is, works, which is, at least in our case, is crucial for this to work.
So one interesting thing is that you added this new model to the more traditional tried and tested one of having the season tickets. So what sort of led to that decision of mixing the old with the new? I mean, you could have scrapped like the season tickets, or just chosen one of them. How come you sort of decided to mix?
Yeah, we actually had the idea of that, just scrapping the old season ticket, because we could see that it was the season ticket that was the real issue for us. But again, we don't want to make it more inconvenient or unpleasant for the ones who actually do their job, or whatever you want to say. For my case, they should just have the benefits that they have as a season ticket holder. So we would like to benefit those who actually show up, and those who don't show up, we would like to find a solution for them that's the best for them and the best for us as a football club. So that's the reason why we kept both, really, that we don't want to bother with those who actually show up. Well, they don't need to bother with us, is probably the right term.
But I think one of the things that's so interesting is that you're actually doing this. You also, it feels like you increase the sort of perceived value of having the season ticket as well.
Yeah, well, as I said before, the average season ticket is showing up for 70% of the matches. So in theory, I can sell 30% more season tickets without really changing the attendance, which is obviously more money in the bank account, which is lovely for us. But it is, the flexibility of the subscription model and the workload, and that's really paying off for us.
So what's next then for FC Midtjylland when it comes to innovations? What other types of innovations are you thinking of incorporating in the way you do business? Is there anything else like on your roadmap?
Well, currently, as I said, it's the season ticket attendance that we're really, really working hard on. I think when we've got that under control, it will be working with we can see that the more you pay for the season tickets, the more you attend. And we can see there is a bigger attendance if you pay monthly over if you pay yearly. The higher the prices are, apparently, that our data shows us that if you pay more, you attend more. So we'll probably try to find solutions for this, or at least make a product where this really can be tested. We probably won't just raise the season ticket price with 100%. That was probably not a good idea. But we'll probably invent a new concept, whether it's a premium plus or whatever it is, to see if this works on a practical level other than just a theoretical level. Yeah, that's probably one of the next things that we'll be looking into.
It sounds like, data seems to be like something that you dive into quite a lot.
Yeah, we have an awful lot of data. After every match, we have an awful lot of data accessible for us. Whether everything from where you live and your age to when you bought the tickets, when you entered the stadium, whether it's a season ticket, sponsored ticket, what stand you are, what age you are, all that kind of data we have on every single people who has a ticket. So there's a lot of data for us to dive into. It's just about finding the right thing to dive into, because we need try and find the solution that brings the most people to the stadium. Maybe next year, this year we're sold out from all this. Yesterday's match was the first match that weren't sold out this year. So, but again, that's probably one of the reasons the season ticket. After the season, all of those under 65% will be transferred to the ticket space. So that will release a lot of seats for us. So maybe next year the job is also a bit more a marketing task, to sell the tickets, because we have more tickets to sell. So we'll probably dive into age groups and activities, what attracts you to come into to stadiums, personas, and all that kind of things. Will probably be a bit more for us next season when we have more tickets to sell.
How much does data actually drive your innovations from your perspective?
Everything. Everything. We just have an evaluation for the match earlier today, the match we had yesterday. And I have a data sheet that I show for all staff here that I present. And we look into it quite deeply and try to find solutions or see a picture that, all right, this category still is not really attending. What can we do for this? Do we need to take contact to all of them? But data is the foundation for all of this to be done. At least in my case, obviously there are more creative people than me here who do marketing and branding and stuff. But all season ticketing is extremly data driven.
So if you were to give, we work with a lot of other sports clubs all over Europe. So if you could give some advice to other sports club managers on this topic, what would that be? How would you say that they can embrace innovation a bit more?
Well, the subscription model, I would say that everyone should be working with this. There is so little drawbacks from this compared to all the benefits that you have as a football club doing the subscription model. So just dive into it, and don't probably be as conservative as the industry are. And I think one of the major ones is always that our fans don't want that. They're old-fashioned, they're old, and all of that. But are they old, and are they kind of close-minded? I'm not so sure of that. And if you don't want to kind of do it all the way as we've done this season, just test it out and see if it's possible for you. Because I more or less guarantee you that it will benefit you to do a subscription model. Just dive into it. I really, really would recommend that to people.
And maybe also use the data to find the actual answers to those questions if it works.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Again, this is only issues if you have a sold-out stadium. If you have 20,000 seats to sell, I think your job should always be to sell more tickets. But when you are in limitations like a stadium capacity, which is quite difficult to expand or expensive at least, you should use data to look into it. But it is a complex world, football ticketing data. There's a lot of work in that. And yeah, we could go more into it, but it's all a man-hour thing.
Martin, that was my last question. I want to thank you so very much for joining this podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
If your goal is to get more supporters, superior sales, and real revenue, then visit our website at datatalks.sc and fill out our demo form to experience firsthand how we can help you. Data Talks, more supporters, superior sales, real revenue.